way that I have always processed kind of traumatic experiences is through art. I make art about whatever that traumatic experience is, usually fine art practice. In this instance, it was like I want to make something as protest art. This is my first protest art experiment. I decided somehow, I don't actually know how the idea came together, but to make these ornaments, to make Black Lives Matter ornaments. So we can put this everywhere, and people are saying Black Lives Matter every day in the thoroughfares that they kind of frequent. It just processes in their brain a different way. Like, I see this, I see it again, I see it again, I see it again. You know, at some point I'm gonna look it up or think about it or think about how I see it every day. This is the beginning of the movement. I have lost track of the days, but we've gotta be at 130 plus days. 130 plus days that the people of Ferguson have been protesting non-stop since the death of Mike Brown. Here in DC, I think protests started happening every day on November 25th. And so that's where we are. We're at less than a month, but I think this is a really large movement. It's happening all over the nation, and we need this momentum to continue because we have a lot to get done, and so we have to keep fighting. It won't have the same impact as, like, you know, protesters on the street, but what I'm hoping that it will do is bring the fight to where people are. So I was having a conversation with my best friend the other day. She's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman who lives in Atlanta, and she was like, everybody has to know it's happening everywhere. Well, the truth is, everybody does not have to know that part of the way that privilege functions is that there are some things that you do not have to know about, care about, interact with, and you get to not do that. You know, so there's a whole population of people, particularly outside of metropolitan areas. Within them, you might see it on the news or like stumble into a protest or something, but even within metropolitan areas, there are people, and I walk past them every day and I work with some of them, who are just living their everyday life, and they don't ever say, think about, reference Black Lives Matter because they don't have to, and it's not part of their existence. So the areas of the city that we targeted to bomb are areas where people had the privilege of being able to choose to not be impacted or not interact with this national movement. And so the impact that I hope that it has is that it confronts those people in their life, in the spaces where they live, with this message, Black Lives Matter. The reason I wanted to have coordinated art bombs across multiple cities was to send a really strong message. We are together. There's this idea that people want to promote that the people who are protesting in Ferguson are out there by themselves, that they're not being joined by people across the nation. It's harder to ignore that now because people are shutting shit down across the nation, but some people, you know, still might believe that. So that's one thing that I wanted to have a really strong showing that people outside of Ferguson do care. I had people who signed up to be coordinators for different cities. They're being put out in DC, which I think is the largest number of them. Here we have roughly 1,100 going all across the city, but they're also being put out in Jacksonville, in Salt Lake City, in Philadelphia, in Chicago, Baltimore, and in Ferguson. The idea that we're unorganized is false, but we do have a very unique style of organization, which is we organize within our small groups, we communicate with each other, and then we all, you know, support each other, do what we do. People just showed up in like really incredible, amazing ways, and every night people have showed up. People have hosted these parties in their house and collected the ornaments. People have come to weatherize them. People have come to take them and install them across the city. So it's really been a very incredible group effort, and we're, you know, hashtagging them solidarity trees, hashtagging them conscious Christmas, Ferguson, DC Ferguson, and the areas where we're putting them. I am trying to instigate the social consciousness. So I want that social consciousness to grow into social change. So that's the impact I'm hoping for.